All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with my partner, Nina. I'm so excited for you to meet her. Some of you probably have already met her through chat or video calls, but the rest of you who will be working with her get to know her now. Nina, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. So, I'm Nina, and I'm a real estate agent working for the American brand The Agency. And Joseph and I, we have established a partnership a while back. And basically, give you a little bit of understanding who I am. I have lived in various countries. I'm a kind of a mix because I'm originally from Slovakia. I grew up in Germany and lived for 11 years in Sydney, Australia. That's why the picture's in the back before moving to Portugal. I speak multiple languages: English, German, Slovak, Czech, Spanish, and also some Portuguese.
Love it.
Look, my background before coming to Portugal was in consulting, account management, and finance. And I would say since my university time or even before, I will love to work with clients and customers. And basically, my whole career is really in the client-facing role. And coming to Portugal, I just kind of somehow ended up in real estate, and not really ended up, I was actively working towards it. And now I work for the agency for the last 1.5 years because we launched in Portugal last year, February, and I actually joined a little bit earlier than that, and then helped a little bit with a few things to set up. And now I'm part of that team here in Cascais.
Mhm.
My areas of expertise, or like where I've worked mostly in, is Cascais, Sintra, Lisbon. And when I say Cascais, I include Estoril, Carcavelos, Pared, and Oeiras as well. Um, the type of clients that I work with are different. So sometimes it's families who are relocating, and they reach out because we start chatting about schools, because obviously I have a son. And so I know a little bit about the school system here because, of course, we talk with friends and so on to get an idea or to get a little bit of feedback on things. So I work with families coming to Portugal. I work with couples, singles of all age ranges, to be honest.
Right.
And of course, then there are the buyers that don't plan on living themselves in the property, but who see it a little bit more as an investment.
Mhm.
As an investment, we see, in particular in Lisbon, I would say, or in the wider area, people that want to buy like a property, like an apartment or house to rent out, or even maybe for projects,
Mhm.
for full refurbishment projects to create multiple apartments, possibly even like hospitality, like boutique hotels or hotels. So it's a really big variety of clients that I work with. And I would say that, and please stop me when I start talking
No,
too
you're
much.
fine. You're fine.
I would say that it really depends on the individual needs, but I think one important thing is to understand one's strengths and sometimes also to not to be scared to reach out for help or assistance. What I mean with that is that we really follow, or I follow really like a teamwork approach. So I have some colleagues that are a little bit more specialized, let's say, in the investment, in particular with hotels. So if I work with a client and I reach out as well to a wider team of colleagues within the agency, but outside of the agency, because in the end of the day, real estate is all about networking as well. And to find the right property for a client doesn't mean necessarily it needs to be your own listing or the listing of your own agency, right?
Right.
It's basically really like that. For me, it's the most important thing is to provide the best service in the sense of saving my clients time and hassle, and to find the property they are looking for, if it's for investment or for them to live in.
You love it. Yeah, I think one thing, I'm glad you hit on this. So one of the reasons that Nina and I work together, I live in Cascais. I live in Estoril area, right? So I live in Monte Estoril. But I'm like Nina. I want to make sure that whoever I'm going to be serving has somebody that is an expert in an area. So that's the reason Nina and I mean, we shoot properties together, film properties together, but I feel like she's been here longer. She has relationships that I don't have. And her being, I would say, an arm of what we're trying to execute and make sure we have collaboration is the reason we work together. Plus, I think we have similar ideas in serving clients and making sure that we support them in the best way
Absolutely.
possible. So that's why we work together. Because I know some people are like, Joseph, you live in Cascais, you live in Estoril. This is where your area is. Yes, but I want to make sure that you have the best service. And Nina is one of those people that can provide that. Nina, one of the questions that we get all the time, you get this like I do. without really understanding somebody's needs and who they are, their personality, what would you say whenever somebody says, "Hey, I'm looking to have my primary home in Cascais Estoril"? What area are you pushing those people to? And then somebody who's looking to invest, what areas are you pushing them to consider whenever they're making these decisions?
We get contacted exactly with these kind of questions right away. But rather than giving right away an answer, I would ask a few more questions.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do initially, always in a quick phone call or brief phone call, because it really, and that's the reality. We are talking about Cascais, Lisbon, which are the most expensive areas in Portugal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that think about Portugal, they always think of cheap property.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the case always, right? So I think managing expectations, right, straight from the beginning is very important. So the client can really either change their plans if they don't want to adjust to it, or adjust. So I would say if it's, for example, for primary living, as you said, it really depends on the budget and on the expectation of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
We work with clients, right, where if they move with kids, my question would be, okay, do you want to send your kids? Have you thought about schools? Want to be close to international schools? Do you want to go to public schools? So based on that, you might start picking certain locations over others. Even though I have to say, Cascais is not really big, right? You don't have to be necessarily next to a school.
Yeah.
Being next to a private school means also very often that you are going to pay a higher price for being there, right? So sometimes it's maybe better to drive the 10 minutes extra, but save 10, 20% on the house, right? So it really depends. But I think overall, there's no bad area in Cascais, I would say. It comes down to, do you want to have a house or an apartment? If you are looking after for a house and in a certain budget, maybe you will have to go a little bit outside of what I call Cascais Center, more a little bit towards Alcabidej, possibly even Bicès or Manique, where you can still get pretty nice properties, very often actually new builds for a quite reasonable price for the area. If you are looking for apartments, you have much more choice because, of course, in downtown Cascais or even Estoril, there are more apartments around that more people could afford, rather than houses are very particular houses that are quite high-end luxury properties. That's one thing. And then, of course, if you don't mind to drive the extra few minutes to school, I would say as well, an area that is it's already on the radar of a lot of experts, but Carcavelos and Paret are definitely areas that a lot of people don't know about, even though it's just literally 5 kilometers away from here. But it has a little bit more Portuguese feeling to it. You can find still more reasonable priced properties, in particular, if you don't mind to do a little bit of refurbishment yourself, not yourself, but hire possibly someone. There are lots of possibilities there to get something with a lower price tag, I would say. Another area as well is Oeiras. A lot of people think about Oeiras to be this industrial place, but actually Oeiras, downtown Oeiras, is beautiful with beautiful parks, and it has the real, in my opinion, great Portuguese feeling to it with a beautiful plaza. So I would say everything along the coastline between Lisbon and Cascais up to Sintra, it's worth having a look at and basically start looking at the properties that are there. And in the end of the day, the budget of the client and their expectations will determine in a little bit what area we start focusing on. For investors, so if someone wants to invest into renting out properties, and we are now talking about medium to long-term rent, because we know at the moment everything can change. We can't get licenses to do short-term rentals in this area. I would basically go with the same what I just said. Like it would be the same areas, to be honest. If it's a little bit more maybe a long-term investment, I think as well, Oeiras is definitely an area that will increase in value because you are very close to Lisbon. You have the university in Carcavelos very close by, and you have the industrial park where like the big brands are located there in Oeiras Park as well. And I think that will develop even further in the next few years. Same thing for the area of Bicesse, which is still at the moment a little bit more, I call it raw. But you can already see now that more new properties are being developed there. And with that, more the infrastructure will improve as well with time.
Yes.
So I think those are the areas. Then if you don't mind to go out of Cascais and a little bit further out, which means it's still just half an hour from Lisbon, but definitely Ericeira, Mafra, or in general, even the whole Silver Coast.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Silver Coast means you look between starting from Ericeira a little bit further down up to Porto is the whole Silver Coast area. And there's still a lot of small pockets that are quite interesting for thinking about investments in, like for you personally or as a long-term investment, like a return of investment. So I think like Peniche, for example, it's all Lourinhã areas that are quite interesting. The same thing on the other side of the bridge, like to Stomagem Sul, Montijo, Alcochete. Now there were talks on, they already agreed that the airport is going to be built in that area. So some people expect that the value of properties will increase in that area. There are some interesting projects being built or developed. So yeah, I mean, it really comes down to the client's individual expectations in the end of the day. And I think our job is as well, if the client never invested in Portugal and they know Portugal only from their holidays or maybe a little bit of research online and reading, a little bit to provide guidance as well and to understand a little bit what they want and give them options. And through the options, I think you help them a little bit to narrow down your search and to get clarity as well on what they really want.
Yeah, I love it. And now you can see, ladies and gentlemen, why I work with Nina. She has expertise, obviously, across Portugal, but she can also point you in the right direction depending on what your needs are. And I think this is really important for clients to understand, Nina. We get that question all the time, but without knowing their needs, their expectation of lifestyle, we can't really say this is where you need to be. But if you give Nina this information whenever you get on the call with her, it's going to be quite helpful, and she can be quite helpful in guiding you on where you may want to go with your family and or put your money if you are purchasing a property. Nina, another question I want to ask, is there anything you want people to know about you, know about the market, the things that you're seeing, so that they can get a better understanding of either the market or better understanding of working with you directly?
Look, I think about the market, I mean, I think a lot of people discuss like what's going to happen to the real estate market in Portugal and so on. I think no one, if an agent would tell you exactly, oh yeah, this is going to happen, you know, I would ask, okay, do they have the crystal ball? Or how do they know, right? Exactly. It's kind of like, I don't know, but I think, look, about the market, we are in this, and now again, I'm focusing a little bit more on Cascais Estoril. We are in the prime location of Portugal, and the prices are on the higher end very often, but you're getting a certain lifestyle for it. And that's why, I mean, when I lived in Sydney, I lived in Bondi Beach in the eastern suburbs. I'm used to higher price tags, but because I like to have a certain lifestyle, you know, and that's, I think, the fact that if you want to have this lifestyle, you might have to pay this money if you want. I mean, of course, again, like depending on your own expectations, we can find other options in the Silver Coast. I think it's developing there a lot in that direction as well. But the market is what it is, to be honest, and it's more about to find a solution for you and to find an option for you and to find like a long-term plan as well, possibly, right? And sometimes even like if you need a little bit more time, take the time, don't rush it, you know. But at the same time, I feel like it's a mistake of holding back on something if you can afford it, comfortably afford it, and to hope, or maybe the prices will go further down. If you look around and you find a property that you like, you should go for it. And I think that comes though by seeing various properties beforehand. And that's what I do with my clients as well. That's how we start usually, that I provide them with different links or links to properties, to listed properties, so they see different areas, even if they are here doing a few viewings. So once they come across a property where they get this extra kick, they know this is it. You know, because that's only when you can have an informed decision. And also, I think with clients, and that's because I'm an expert myself and I lived in various countries, I think for me, the most important thing is to explain to my clients right from the beginning, what are the differences sometimes in Portugal, you know, and that's and to guide them through that and explaining, though, why is this like that? It's normal. It has nothing to do with you personally. It is normal. And I think because we are being experts ourselves and also living in various countries, I understand we need to adapt, of course, because
Yes.
we are new to this country and we are guests, so we need to adapt. But basically, to make it as smooth as possible, this adaptation for my clients and to go through the buying process, which sometimes can be a little bit stressful, to make it as smooth as possible, and basically to be also to protect my client as much as possible from the stressful situations, because even when we agree sometimes already with the listing agent on the price and everything, and the purchasing process has started, there are sometimes so many hiccups in between. My client has absolutely no idea about, right?
Yeah.
Because if I don't have to tell them about it, I won't tell them because I don't want to create an additional stress to the whole process. And I think it's like the more properties you buy, the easier it is a little bit with time because you understand the differences. But I think for me, it's really about to make the process as easy as possible, to be there for my clients, to provide them with the feeling that they can always reach out, if they have any questions. And I might not answer right away, but I will definitely answer. And so I think and I think the most important fact as well is that you find for the clients or for people who are looking to invest or buy in Portugal, there are a lot of real estate agents around. I think the most important part is to work with someone that you feel comfortable with, and you will feel that. And that basically that person, it's a little bit like finding maybe an interior designer. You can look at someone's pictures on Instagram and say, great design. And then you meet that person, you have absolutely no connection. And it's a quite personal thing to furbish and design your new house. And I think that the personal connection is quite important as well.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. I mean, if again, those of you who watch this video, you can see that Nina is very personable person, right? It's all about that relationship and making sure you're protecting your client. I think that was something that whenever you said that, it struck a chord with me because I am very much like, okay, whenever I hand clients to people, we want to make sure they're protected. And sometimes keeping them out of the loop of a stressful thing that you can solve yourself is a big deal. I used to work with agents in the US who would do this and say, if I can solve it before I have to tell the client, then I tell them, hey, it's been solved already. It makes their life so much easier. So I'm so glad to hear that. I think clients are glad to hear that.
Absolutely.
Okay. My last question, which is always the hardest question for people, is what is your favorite restaurant around the area that you live in?
Oh, wow. Okay. I think it depends a little bit on the day. I love sushi, and I love Moa Sushi, which is in Torre in Cascais. It's a small place, and I really like that one. But of course, I mean, having a wine and a lunch or dinner at the beach. I mean, of course, I think Gincho Bar and Gincho Beach is one of my favorites with nice, relaxing music and having just a beautiful beach in front of you. Yeah, I think those are my two favorite ones because they are very child friendly as well. And who doesn't like to have a wine or beer with their friends and the kids are playing in the sand? So that's the best.
With a beautiful view.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, awesome, Nina. Well, I want to thank you. Those of you who watch this video, I hope you've gotten to know Nina a little bit better, her expertise, who she is, how she can support you. Nina, I just want to take a minute to say thank you for taking the time to come on this call. I know you're a busy woman, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And I'm very honored still that we have this connection to each other in the partnership, and I'm looking forward to work more clients together.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.